Hello everyone and welcome back to the HearthCraft server with me, tonne 1.19. Last episode we went off with the gang and we explored an ancient city. We defeated the warden and we got ourselves some swift sneak. We also built this massive mob farm and this has been churning out all of the goodies. I have chests and chests full of all of the mob drops. So in between episodes I have been busy because this episode I have a lot planned, a lot of builds and a lot of farms I really want to try and get up and running, and I need to get a few things finished first before I can move on to the next one. So first things first is I've built a wool farm here. I've got all the colours going, and with the wool I have made tons and tons of beds, and I've managed to get myself 40 ancient debris down in the nether. I've been blowing up beds and making absolute massive holes in the nether, and I'm sure everyone's going to appreciate that. Now the first things that we want to do is just briefly mention this road infrastructure I've started to put around. I'm trying to put the plans in place for this town, this city that we are building. So we've got a bit of a high-rise road here, and we're eventually going to put in some actual structure underneath here to kind of keep it looking authentic. Now before I do get into our first build of this episode, I want to remind you all to like and subscribe because we are growing, and with your continued support I will continue to grow, and that will allow me to have the confidence to keep putting out these videos every week. So without further ado, let's head into the first time lapse of today's episode. Now this is post edit Tom. Turns out my time lapse did not record whatsoever, but this next clip needs a bit of explaining. So it turns out when I was 3/4 up my build at the front, I had Panda come along and he shot me off of my build and I died. Panda, what was that?
That wasn't meant to happen. It was meant to go like flying over your head, and I thought it was really cool in your replay. Can't hit a moving target, but I also can't miss a moving target.
Well, I mean, I guess there's a natural break in my replay. Let me just finish picking up my pieces. So, well, I had my time lapse interrupted. Well, I guess rather than me try and restart that time lapse, I am just going to finish off this build. There's a few tidying up bits to do around it with the trapdoors. You can see are all out of shape, and I'll get the sides in, and then we'll go something from this to this, and we are now finished. Let's take a little bit of a step back here, and I've tried to do a few different things with this build. In our build with the mega storage, we utilized walls on the inside. You can see here just behind the main pillars, we use that to try and get some color to come out of the build, just to add some white flecks to the build. And this way we've actually gone the other way, so this center pillar here is all granite walls, and what we've then done behind is, rather than try to add some interior and some floors, what we've done is we've played around with a bit of glass and a bit of wool to try and make it look like some of these rooms are used. We've got the white wool as though the lighting is on in those rooms, and the grey wool for where the rooms aren't being used. Then up towards the top here, I've got an open area here. I want to put some form of statue up here. These two builds that I've built in recent episodes are based on real life builds in Prague. They're from photos that I've taken, and these are my takes on a couple of builds from the old market town square. Entering free cam here, and this is something that I really liked about Prague, is that the difference in the roofs, it had no bearing really on the buildings connecting. Here in UK you kind of have unity, the roofs lead into one another, so I've just played around with some different roofing structures here. You can see the side here has got no features, and that's okay with me because this is just going to be a road we're going to be walking through. So the attraction here is the front of the build, like it would be in any street. Now since the build has been complete, I've been off at the copper farm and I've earned myself 90 odd levels here. I also have myself a soul speed and a swift sneak 3 book that I need to get onto my gear. I should now have my ancient debris smelted up that we put in at the start of the episode. So let's go and get that added to our gear. We now have the opportunity to turn all of our gear into netherite. We have 40 pieces of netherite scrap, which we can combine handily here with the gold that was also in the smelter. We should get 10 pieces of netherite. There we go. So over here at our villager trading hall, I've got an anvil, I have a smithing table. So let's add our swift sneak to our leggings, like so. And we need to take our booties off, and we need to go and stick our soul speed on. Now I don't have names for these anymore. If anyone has some names for my gear, this is my second lot of gear. Let me know some interesting names that we can throw on them. So we have our armor. We're gonna start getting our netherite gear here. That's all my armor pieces. We're going to put it on our silk touch, our looting sword, our axe, our shovel. That leaves us with 3, and I'm going to leave it with that for the time being. 3, we've got other pickaxes, we've got our hose. We have enough gear for now that we can look like Thanos in our enchanted netherite armor. Heading on inside to our new build, we have the wool farm at the bottom level here, which is continuing to produce, but I did add a second level, and in here we've got some bees going, so we're starting to get some honeycomb. I didn't want the honey blocks currently, I have no need for them, but we can quite easily swap the shears out of the dispenser here for the bottles. Now the honeycomb is actually something that I need, so I can actually start getting to work with my villagers. I need actually a ton of beehives for my floor design, and I also need a load of waxed copper. So I'm going to chill for a bit. I also need to start working through all of these goodies. Whilst I was getting my ancient debris, I managed to get an absolute ton of nether quartz ores, and I also need to get some more redstone. I don't know if this will give me enough for my villager trading hall, but there's only one way to find out. Time lapse. And sometime later, we now have a near shulker of quartz. So I don't think there's going to be much need for us to head back into the nether for quartz. We'll have to see if this redstone is enough for us to get building. Ironically, the reason that I want to get this villager trading hall up and running is so I can get more quartz. I have lots of plans for building with quartz, so I need it easy and accessible to me. So we're going to finish putting together our resources for the build. As you can see, I've got plenty of shulkers lying around, and you are cyan, no yellow beds, love copper raven. Oh, so my yellow bed has been replaced for cyan. Cyan is my nether tunnel colour, so I guess she's been offended that I've used yellow for my beds and I have to use cyan. We now have 4 shulkers of resources, lots and lots of blocks to go into this build. I've carved out a hole where this is going to go. It's not going to go where initially I thought. We'd carved out a hole over there where that beacon is last episode for it to go. However, with the bees that are in place in here, I'm a little concerned about the frame rates dropping. There'll be a lot of entities over in that area. So we're going to move it over to this side. And you can see here, I've carved out a perfect spot for it to go. And I'm going to keep it relatively high because we have what will be our upper highway almost up here. We're going to put it in place, and I am just going to get to it. There's not going to be a time lapse for this one. It's not going to be an interesting build, and then we'll talk through how it works. Just like that, our villager trading hall is complete. So let me enter free cam here and show you around. Now some of you Hermitcraft watchers may recognize this design. This original design is from Megatronic, and I will make sure to link the description in my video. And it's a concept that Impulse has used on the Hermitcraft server here, and it has a zombie chamber down here. The villagers can't go into any other pods. The redstone in here locks any other chambers once they are out of it. And up the top here is a instant potion brewer. So there is a detector rail here that will trigger that to be dispensed here, and they have splash potion of weaknesses. I've locked that up, started adding in some here because I had a shulker full ready to go, but also there's fermented spider arrows and gunpowder and bottles in the system ready to keep the system up and running. Now you can see I have no villagers in here, and I also do not have a zombie. So I think the first thing that I want to do is try and get a zombie in here. So I've got my rails, I've got some mine carts. All I need to do is try and wait for some nighttime. I'm going to go and get a name tag in that time, and we will try and get a zombie in place. So nighttime is dawning in. We have a name tag. Of course, he's going to be called Zombie. My area is pretty well lit up, so we might have to coax one in, maybe off in the forest over there. I can see a creeper, so hopefully let's have a little venture over here and see if we can grab one over. Let's take the creeper out from a distance. Pew, pew, pew. Oh, there we go. Here's a zombie. Come on in, Mr. Zombie. You're going to be my best friend. So let's lead this one back into the minecart. And if we can get that done, I mean, he's already gold armored up, so we don't even have to worry about him burning. We're heading this way. Let's put our minecart down. And let's try and get him in. There we go. Oh, that was easy. Okay, we're just probably going to need to take a whack to give a whack. Didn't think this one through, did I? Okay, let's grab... I do have a redstone. I do have powered rail, but I don't have a redstone torch. So let's just stick that in. I don't even have a lever. Let's just go quickly grab that. Alright, Mr. Zombie, I return with a redstone torch. Let's go and stick you up there. I'll take another whack from him, but I should get him back on, and he should fly up. Perfect. So we're gonna call him Zombie, and then we're just gonna... Yes, perfect. Oh, there's another zombie. Good job I got my headphones in today. I could hear that one. So, oh, you've got the rail. Okay, fine. And take this down, and then we're just going to rebuild it. So he's locked in there safely, and we're now set. We have our zombie in place. We will be able to send our villagers into this little chamber in here. They will get whacked, and there's a string in place here which will know when they'll convert. And it essentially triggers this whole system. Important that I take that block away. There we go. Take that block away. The sticky piston will move the powered rail here, and then it will push it all the way back into the system. So let's sleep, and we can slowly begin to start moving some villagers in place. I'm going to get that done off camera. We're going to move in our existing villagers over here, and then maybe let's figure out where we can get a villager breeder in place, because it's going to be a long distance over from there. That'll be a bit tedious. So maybe even under the bridge, we could perhaps hide a villager breeder under the bridge that we'll make eventually in the future. Currently it's just some floating blocks, which doesn't look very lifelike, but don't worry, in time that will get sorted. And a little time later, we now have most of our trading hall full with villagers. You can see all of the stations are in place, and I've got a lot of shulkers of resources that we now have to trade with all of these guys. And I've done a bit of work out here. So whilst the villagers were breeding up, and speaking of the villagers breeding up, I did move it over here, so the villager breeder is now over here. I've left the two that were breeding over there, just as an emergency backup. But here, we've kind of put a little bridge together. Let me enter free cam here and just show you what we've got. I wanted to use some of the resources that we had to hand from the copper farm and from the bee farm as well. So we've got waxed copper up and down here, just in different states. I tried it out without oxidizing it, but it just looked way too bright. So we've gone for kind of the middle ground before it turns green here. And then underneath, we're just keeping it pretty simple. We're going to add in some lights into this here, and you can see I'm fast running out of resources. I just don't have enough stone going on. I've got my small smelter going on up there, but it gives me plenty of food for thought for next episode that we can start looking at our stone issues here and perhaps get something automated. So I think now is the right time for us to try and get someone down, get zombified and come back up. So I think it's only ironic that we start with a cleric. We have plenty of rotten flesh. Let's send you on down. You can see on my mini-map that yellow dot is heading over. He should head in here. You can see he's getting whacked. And he's converted. You weren't supposed to go that way. Now he's on a joyride back and forth. Now, oh no. No. Oh no. Don't want to lose him. Okay, he's in shelter. Okay, I need to figure out what's going on with the railing setup there, because that didn't work right, did it? So, back to the drawing board. So, we've been to the drawing board, and it should be a rail here that connects going up there is what I need to get in place. Now you may have noticed this zombie did catch fire. I did add a bit of a roof in, but obviously we missed here because, well, he wasn't really supposed to come back this way. So we need to try and figure out a way that can do this. I have a couple of scaffolding, but not enough. We do have some blocks. Here we go. Let's get ourselves up and see what we can do. So if we can maybe get him up there ourselves, just for this one, take a few whacks. There we go. He should get splashed. You can see the splash happen there, and he's going over there. Oh dear, this is going terribly, and now he's dead. So I think that's because I had a bypass going on here with the rails up by the potions, because we didn't want to get, you know, all the villagers in and splashed with the potions. So I mean, he's now dead. So unfortunately that was a master cleric. Oh dear, nothing ever goes smoothly with villagers, does it? Let's try again. Oh, the system is now locked, so the system's expecting someone to come back in here. So we need to head down to this bottom end. You can see I've got the scaffold in place because actually I have had to have a little play around with this a few times. So I'm going to take out this repeater. We're going to take out this redstone, get them both back in our inventory. We're going to put the redstone block in place here. You can see this triggers, but if the repeater was here, the sticky piston would pull that back and completely lock the system again. So now with it in place, we'll be able to use it for another cleric. Let's give it another go. We're going to send this guy down. Down he goes. He's heading through. He's getting zombified. Sorry, friend. You'll appreciate it afterwards. He's heading up. Gets splashed. And if we head back up here, he should be waiting for us and a bit shaky. Yep, there we go. We give him our golden apple. He will now heal up for us. So what we're going to do is spend a fair amount of time getting all of these remaining pods filled up and curing all of the villagers. So let's get to it, and because I need a shulker of quartz for the next build we have planned. I know this episode has been running long, but we really want to get this last final thing done for today's episode before we end it. All the villagers in the trading hall have now been healed up. They're all pretty much selling and buying from me at 1, so that's brilliant news. These guys need a bit of work, but other than that we've got everything going, and I have managed to get all of the quartz that I need for a build. You can see in my inventory I have stacks and stacks of emeralds. Ugh, I hate this place. This would look better flattened, and let me control the shopping district. How about we just blow it all up, all of it, all the 4 shops that we have. Now nearby to where our shopping district is is now what we're calling our gaming area. We have a few things set up for some later events, and the event that I'm taking part in is Pigcart's build challenge. I need to figure out where it is, and here we are. So basically the loser is going to get decapitated by a fallen stalactite, whichever way around it is. There's a couple of entries already, and basically what we need to do is get our build done, and then we need to try and sell it to Pigcart. We need to be able to describe it to him and why he needs to put it in his bowl, into his base. So are you ready for a time lapse? I know I am. This has been a long episode. I thank you all for reaching the end. Do remember to like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoy this time lapse, and I look forward to seeing you all in next week's episode.